Fox News is now streaming live on Fox One. When it matters most, turn to the voices you trust. We go beyond the headlines, bringing you the stories you won't hear anywhere else. Live coverage, sharp analysis, real perspective. At home or on the go, stay connected when it counts. Stream Fox News on Fox One. Download today.
Listen, all you New Yorkers. Taxi!
Okay, man, we're looking around.
This is the 77 WABC minicast.
We're back on Let the Record Show with Chairman Jesse Garcia of the Republican Party. Jesse is the Vice Chair of the New York State Republican Party and the County Chair of the Suffolk County New York Republican Party. With us is Eric Levine, noted attorney, commentator, and essayist, and I am Judge Richard Weinberg. Switching gears, gentlemen, I want to go more to the national front here in the United States. This is there are a few things that concern me. Well, we can go through them. DHS still has not been funded as we do doing this show today. That means you have these enormous lines at the airports, which has a lot to do with the economic viability of the country. It has a lot to do with how the midterm elections are going to come out. The Democrats seem to have made this attempt to seize a narrative by saying this is Trump's problem. If Trump would only be reasonable. I know what he's supposed to be reasonable about. Trump has already told them that he is willing to work with them. He's given them concessions. Every time he makes a concession, they want more. This is closed down because of the Democrats. It's Hakeem Jeffries. It's Chuck Schumer. It's the Democratic Party. The airline industry is on the cusp of real economic harm. The travel industry is on the cusp of real economic harm. The economy is there. And people, if they're not fully invested with the facts as opposed to the spin, this is the Democrats shutdown, not the Trump administration shutdown. 5 times Thune has led the charge in the United States Senate, the majority of the Senate, to get funding for DHS in place, which would mean the TSA agents in place, as well as the Coast Guard, as well as the Secret Service. So please, give me a break, Democrats. Do the right thing. That's one issue I want to open to you, gentlemen. The other issue that bothers me enormously is the SAVE Act. The SAVE Act is just to have election integrity. You have to be a citizen to vote in a federal election. That's constitutional. Shouldn't be hard. All you're asking people to do is show that they're citizens. It's not a big deal. You don't have to have a driver's license. You can get it from a governmental agency as cards verifying your citizenship. But you can't have same-day registration. You can't have mail-in voting without having election integrity backed by citizenship. That's a very big deal because otherwise you have illegal migrants voting for their interests, but not necessarily the interests of the American people. In fact, likely not the interests of the American people. Then the last thing I want to talk about in this segment is Mamdani, the mayor of New York City. I respectfully submit that Mamdani is even worse than we thought and we worried about. He's an Islamist. He continues to be an Islamist. He supports from the river to the sea, which is a code word for genocide of the state of Israel and the Jewish people there, and indeed the Arab people there, because they would be exterminated as well. The Islamists...
No. He's just focusing on the Jews.
Oh, okay.
Come on. He's just talking about the Jews.
Oh, okay. Well, listen, I hope we never come to that day of Armageddon.
No, it's never coming. It's never coming, but that's what he's talking about.
All right. But certainly he's talking about socialism out of time. That's worked out nowhere, anywhere, to any place in time. And that's what he's been pushing. And he's just hiring, in the process now, with a multi-million-dollar budget, Jesse and Eric, a bunch of community organizers with fancy titles, a board of community engagement. What nonsense is that? All that is a political operation operating out of City Hall to recruit, control narrative, to organize, to politicize this city for a radical left agenda. So that's what's on my mind about this character, Mamdani. So, Eric, let's begin with you. The DHS, SAVE Act, and then Mamdani.
Well, DHS, the Department of Homeland Security, let's put this in perspective. We are at war with the world's leading state sponsor of terrorism. And we know they've spread their, as we've discussed before, they've spread terrorism and killed people all around the globe. Department of Homeland Security helps keeps us safe, and yet the Democrats won't fund it at a time of war. How irresponsible is that? As it relates to the TSA, well, first of all, they won't vote to fund it, they claim, because they don't want to fund ICE. Hello?
ICE
is funded through 2029. No matter what you do, ICE is already funded under the big, beautiful bill through 2029. So this doesn't impact ICE at all. But even to the extent that we wanted to impact ICE, Trump, to his credit, has made a number of concessions. He fired Kristi Noem. He brought in Holman. He's now in charge of ICE. He's making all kinds of concessions regarding warrants and setting up detention centers, all the things that the Democrats have been asking for. He has now given them in large part. And they still can't bring themselves to saying yes because they're not interested in saying yes. They just want to shut this down because they think it helps them politically with their radical, crazy base. Because they're fighting. Because they hate Donald Trump more than they love America. And they just want to keep their base happy. On the TSA, I mean, you just look at these lines. I mean, this is unbelievable. Some people are waiting 4.5 hours just to get through security. I think at this point, the airline industry must be privatized. A number of airports have private TSA. The airlines run. The airlines have to do it. We can't have the whims of Congress shutting down the airlines and making the American people's lives absolutely miserable. On the SAVE Act, I support the SAVE Act. I mean, I do, though, have a lot of sympathy for some states like Hawaii or Alaska, or where this idea about no absentee ballots. I mean, some people, Alaska's a perfect example. You can live in a really remote area, and if you have to show up to vote, you may have to travel hundreds of miles. So
Alaska is really the exception to the rule.
So I understand why there's some Lisa Murkowski, who I don't know, I frequently disagree with. On this one, I have a lot of sympathy for. Her constituents need to be able to show up and vote. But other than that, certainly on the issue of photo ID, it is crazy not to require photo ID. I mean, I had a personal experience. A couple of years ago when Lee Zeldin was running for governor, I showed up to vote early. So I went to, you don't go to your normal polling place. So I show up to vote. And I signed the book, and there's a woman sitting there, and she says to me, "Your signature doesn't match up with your other signature." I said, "Yeah, but that other signature is 25 years old. Your signature changes." So she says to me, "But I don't know that it's you." So I said, "Well, I'll show you my driver's license. It's one of the enhanced federal driver's licenses. I'll show it to you. Prove I live where I live and who I am who I am." She said, "I'm sorry, I can't take your driver's license. I can't take your ID." So not only was I not required to show a photo ID to prove who I was to vote, I was denied the right to show a photo ID just to be able to show up.
So what happened?
Yeah. So there was another fellow sitting next to her. There was a black woman, African-American woman, who was telling me I couldn't vote, and there was an Hispanic guy sitting, and I know the name. I know it's Hispanic because I saw the name. And he said, "Come on, let's be real. Let's let him vote." So I voted. So I was enfranchised. So I was actually, even though I had the ability to prove who I was being told I couldn't. This is the insanity of the left on the voting issue. You need to show a photo ID in order to vote. You want to get on a plane? You need a photo ID. You want your driver's license? You need a photo ID.
Library card?
Library card, photo ID. You want to shovel snow in New York City? Photo ID.
Buy a drink?
Yeah,
buy a drink?
It's just unbelievable. But I do believe that the filibuster is critically important. It may be short-term gain if you get rid of the filibuster to pass the SAVE Act, but I believe in the medium and short term it comes back and bites you in the tuchus. I think the filibuster is important. The Senate should have some institutional backbone here. I think John Thune is doing the right thing by insisting on the keeping the filibuster. So we'll see how this all plays out. But 100%, Richard, you're 100% right. This is on the Chuck Schumer and the Democrats because they are scared witless of the radical progressive left. On Zoran Mamdani, look, the guy is an anti-American communist Jew hater. What could go wrong? He is an utter disgrace. It is unbelievable. It remains unbelievable to me this guy was ever elected. He's a horror show, as grotesque as he is. His wife is even more disgusting than he is. She's a particular Jew hater. She endorses the raping of Jewish women. She endorses the putting Jewish babies in ovens. She endorses ripping open the wombs of pregnant Jewish women and killing their babies in front of a screaming baby. She endorses burning families and Jewish families. She endorses the extermination of the Jews. And the two of them endorse destroying the Jewish state of Israel. How can
Other than that, they're just swell.
How can you not love this guy? How can you not just want him as a neighbor, right? So, of course, he's going to adopt policies that I'm not going to support. But people should look at his history and what he truly believes. You know, he wanted to start the Students for Justice, or not wanted to, he did start the chapter of Students for Justice in Palestine at Bowdoin College. And the DSA, they adopt positions that don't just say that Israel as a Jewish state has no right to exist. They claim that the United States has no right to exist. They claim that is between Canada and the United States. They're the turtle nation. If you look at a map, supposedly Canada next to the United States is the shape of a turtle. And that they are two occupying powers, occupying countries on Native American land, and they have no right to exist. This is the guy that is leading the most important city in the most important country on the planet. Look, he says he wants to govern. He has a new approach to governing. Who are you kidding? All he wants to do is to bring, Richard, as you pointed out, socialism, communism to New York. It's failed everywhere, every time. Colossal disasters in the 20th century, and there's nothing new about it. He just has this demonic smile. He just says this stuff, and what could go wrong?
He's a charm boy.
Yeah, well, somehow I haven't fallen to his charm. But it is remarkable to me that this guy is the mayor of the city of New York, and we got a long way to go. I really think it's a terrible mistake for people to continually try to engage with this guy, to try and persuade him. He's unpersuadable. He's evil, and I mean in the Stalin sense evil, that if he had the power to do some of these horrible things, he would do them because he advocates for them. And the only way that New York succeeds is if he fails. So I think as New Yorkers, we all need to work really, really hard to make sure that he fails. Because otherwise, our taxes are going through the roof. It's going to be an unlivable place for Jews. It's going to be, our tax base is going to completely pick up and leave. And no matter how much Kathy Hochul begs people in Florida, who she told to get out of New York, to come back to pay for her insane
fat chance
and the New York
fat
sane
chance.
Social programs, this is going to fail. And the only way New York succeeds is if Mamdani fails.
Jesse, your turn.
What I wanted to just speak about DHS funding is very clear, is that this is Chuck Schumer's shutdown. And it is going to be a pass on his part in his House. Despite the fact that the mainstream media and every lefty organization out there wants to blame the Republicans and Donald Trump, our president, for this, it's very clear it's their actions. As we pointed out, ICE is fully funded, I believe, through 2028. So their fight about ICE is not the issue here. These individuals want to, it's very similar to 2020 when they were inflaming discord, in this country. They were standing with the Black Lives Matters. They were standing with Antifa to create crises in our cities, to create riots. This is the Democrats' same form of doing that by disrupting the lives of average Americans here. Who you're disrupting are those TSA agents who are forced to go without paychecks, almost $1 billion without paychecks, and to do a job. What I also enjoy, and I'll just anecdotally, my son, who's graduating from the Citadel this year,
God bless him.
He had to travel from Charlotte to Baltimore for a cybersecurity competition. You know, shout out to Jay Alex and his team. They won second place in that competition. But in Baltimore, which is a major airport, the lines were not long. Charlotte, we expected the lines not to be long. But I want to speak to is about Philadelphia. There is Chuck Schumer on the Senate floor saying that the deployment of ICE to our airports was going to add even more stress, more lines, more discomfort.
No, he said and ICE was going to kill people. He said that. He and Jeffrey said that.
And what happened? Almost at the same time, later in that report, there was a reporter from Philadelphia, probably not one of the biggest fans of Republicans, reporting that in this major airport, there were no lines. It's a major hub here in Philadelphia. And we've seen it throughout the area. So, again, President Trump is actually, basically playing chess while the Democrats are playing checkers. What the Democrats are doing is they're doubling down on their very simplistic, obstructionist strategy to try and disrupt the midterm elections. We will see if that is going to have some effect. Strong organizations and strong parties and strong candidates will be able to survive that. And I hope that that's what's going to be the case nationally, because we can't go back to 2 years, where, the Democrats are going to spend the next, 48 months, prosecuting and impeaching the president over and over again because they don't like him. And when it comes to that, so that's DHS, especially in TSA together. When it comes to the SAVE Act, that is common sense. It is supported by almost 80% of the people of America when it's polled. It's even supported by 73% of registered Democrats who are polled. No one sees a problem with the SAVE Act and showing photo ID and ensuring that you're a citizen to vote in our country, despite the actions of New York City and the progressives there to allow the non-citizens to vote in their city elections, which was overturned in court. As we go forward on that, I know that mail-in ballots in the way that blue states, especially like the states like New York, California, Illinois, have manipulated the mail-in ballots, and it started in 2020 during COVID, using COVID as cover, where they've done a lot of these the mail drop-off sites, unchecked mail. To use a term that two lawyers here would know, the chain of custody was broken under the rules of the Democrat state legislatures when it comes to mail-in ballots.
And the judges too. The judges too. In Pennsylvania, what they did is, under the United States Constitution, as you know, Jesse, the election laws and the procedures are governed by the state legislature.
Yes, they are.
But it was changed by the state Supreme Court of Pennsylvania, their highest court, by allowing them to count ballots that came in after the fact. And that case was the Republicans tried to take it to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court, to its disgrace, refused to hear the case.
We have this recent decision by the Supreme Court, though, which we're going to hear about it in June. I expect that the Supreme Court's going to clean that up, and the ruling is going to be that any ballot that is received after Election Day will not be counted. That's what I expect that result to be.
And I believe the SAVE Act, if I could, does have provisions for mail-in ballots, but the old provisions that we grew up with, where if you're going to be out of town, you're ill, you're infirmed, that at that point you can have an absentee ballot, not the mail-in ballots willy-nilly that are unchecked, unverified, that you can sign up online to receive and such. Here in the state of New York, remember, there was a constitutional amendment to allow unchecked, unfettered mail-in ballots to everybody. The constitutional amendment failed. What did the state legislature do? They started changing the rules again and try to bypass what the orders of the courts are. So that's how we have seen, and the American people get this. Let's just go back to the SAVE Act a little bit on polling. Now, listen, since the Democrats love to do identity politics, you're an African American, you're Hispanic, you're LGBTQ, it's amazing. Every major ethnic group is in support of photo ID and being a citizen to vote here in America. It's between 68 and 73% of the vote, depending on the group. So this is one of those 90-10 issues that the Democrats are fighting, because really what they're fighting is their existence. If photo ID comes forward and the verification of citizens has to come forward, that means the game plan that goes on in some of these county boards of elections, like in the city of New York or in other states where they don't have the same protections that we have here in New York with the boards of elections, where Republicans look over the shoulders of Democrats and Democrats look over the shoulders of Republicans to verify that, because they both have to agree before anything moves forward. That's going to cost them at the ballot box. Why? Because their policies, plain and simple, suck. They're bad for the American people. They're bad for New Yorkers. They're bad for affordability. They're bad for security and safety. And the only way Democrats can do this is by constantly, and we've seen this by the Albany Democrats led by Hochul, is by changing the rules of the game every time they suffer losses at the ballot box.
I think that's very well said. Well, We have to sign off, gentlemen. Another great show with Chairman Jesse Garcia of the Republican Party, noted attorney, commentator, essayist Eric Levine. I'm Judge Richard Weinberg. We want to thank you for listening. As always, God bless you. God bless your families. God bless America. And as you prepare for the holidays, whether it's Passover or Easter, we wish everyone well. And we look forward to being with you again on next week's show. Thank you for listening.